Hello, everybody. So I was scanning through Lorne's lawsuit because I had a bit of spare time, and because obviously that's all I do in my life, you know what I mean. And I stumbled across this little gem, which is rather remarkable. It isn't remarkable because we know what Lorne is like, but yet still, you always go back to certain things and go, wow. Do you know what I mean? It's fucking staggering. So this we'll give a bit of context later, but let's just very briefly look at what he said here. These are his words. Although it is also being reported that he's referring to perverted justice, he's going on a rant, obviously. Although it is also being reported that they use real minors to lure their targets, raising concerns that perverted justice is exploiting, underlined, minors to achieve their goals. Just think about that for a minute. This guy. Now, let's just have a look at the guy who's accusing perverted justice of exploiting minors, shall we?
Did you bring condoms?
Yes, I did.
So, also, how far did you put it in? Not too far. I was scared to. Okay, now do it again and put it in further. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you your exploiter. I mean, it just. I struggle to find the words. I understand. I have a pretty good take on like why humans behave in certain ways. It's very, it's quite. You can overcomplicate it and go down the Freudian route of superego and id and all that stuff. But really, it's just the human ego is just. It's like a survival mechanism, really. It manipulates reality to its own purposes. There's very few people that have totally transcended it on the planet. But it is your duty, not your duty, but it is part of your path of being a human, is that when you transcend the ego, which is the unobserved mind, as as Eckhart Tolle put it, when you transcend that, you become selfless. The illusion of the self, which is an illusion, when that is transcended, you exist in a state of bliss. Lorne is in the total grip of his ego, where he can't. What the ego does is its very nature is to find ways to twist the universe for its own benefit, or what it believes is its own benefit. It's kind of like its own entity on its own. And there's nothing that highlights that on the planet, probably more than this. Let's just get a bit more context into what he's actually said. Now, I'm not going to go into full detail, go through the lawsuit. This has been done to death. It's quite remarkable that I'm sure people have read this before. There may even been other videos made about it, but I just thought it was worth highlighting. Trouble has been circulating. I mean, he's always, even to this day, the last catfishing calls that I heard from Tiffany, he still blames perverted justice. Well, not necessarily blames. Well, yeah, he does blame them. He believes they're corrupt. He's just taking the responsibility and the sort of light on himself away, and focusing it on them. They did this and they did that, when it isn't really. They could be the most corrupt organisation in history, but it wouldn't change a thing. It wouldn't change a thing. But it's easier for him to go down this route, and then he doesn't have to do the hard work. The ego's in control, and it's like, right, okay, I don't want to do the hard work and admit that I'm bad, so I'm going to manipulate all of the circumstances around this event and make that the fault. and not me. I have been victimised. Trouble has been circulating around the Perverted Justice Group almost from the beginning for working in tandem. Right, well, that's very subjective, isn't it? Who says that trouble has been circulating around? He does. Where's the evidence? What they have been accused as. They've been accused. Do you know what I mean? Accused of. They have been accused as. Right. Okay. They have been accused of staging the news. Okay. And NBC reportedly pays Perverted Justice $100,000 per episode. He's never going to let you forget that, is he? Okay. So, right. Critics worry. Who are the critics? Him. Does he not mean him? Should not replace critics with Lorne Armstrong. Worries that this is a big incentive to do whatever possible to create a sting scenario, anything from false accusations to manufacturing. Which that doesn't apply to him. But let's just look at this little sentence here on its own. Right? Critics worry that this is a big incentive to do whatever possible to create a sting scenario, anything from false accusations to manufacturing evidence. Now, that would seem quite a plausible thing to say. If you got a group of vigilantes that are being paid a lot of money to get targets, to get results, to bring people in and get them arrested, you would certainly, if there was a little bit of evidence to suggest that they were being corrupt, you'd have to look at it and go, well, they're being paid a lot of money. But they're not being paid a lot of money for results. They're just being paid the money to do the work. Now, I'm sure that there isn't, we don't know what the agreement is, but I'm sure it's right, you must provide 20 predators convicted, and then we'll give you $100,000 an episode, and then they'll be going, right, okay, oh shit, we're a predator short, let's just make one up. But what I'm saying is it could potentially be a genuine concern, wouldn't it? And one would certainly, because it's mentioned in the shows, isn't it, that the police did background checks on Perverted Justice just to check that they weren't going to fuck everything up. So that is, if that within itself that contains some. Not truth, because it doesn't have any truth, but on its own that would be a plausible concern, even just to make people aware that that's possible. But people would know that, anybody that involved in the whole evidence chain would know that was a possibility and would probably keep one eye open on them. But just look at this, anything from false accusations to manufacturing evidence. It doesn't really make any sense, that, because false accusations would be contained within manufacturing evidence. They're not really separate, if you get what I'm saying. But I understand what he's trying to say. He's like, oh, right, you did such and such a thing, but false accusations are irrelevant without the fucking evidence. So what Lorne is saying is that they... it doesn't... All he's saying is critics worry. There's not even any... He completely undermines himself. Critics worry. Well, who are the critics? I'm getting wound up, aren't I? Who are the critics, right? Who are they? You can't just put critics. It's fucking irrelevant. Critics worry that this is a big incentive to do whatever possible to create... Right, okay. Well, it's just nonsense. Critics worry... Right, okay. So somebody's worried. Who's worried? That's all that they say. That's all that he's saying here. It's completely irrelevant. Who's going to read this and go, "Oh my God, these critics are worried that they're going to they're going to make false accusations and manufacture evidence, but we have no evidence that they've done this." It's ludicrous. Even you can just pick it. It's like he tries his best to come across like he's got, like he's on the right side, but completely undermines himself with every word he writes. It's like he fails at everything. Perverted Justice is the group responsible for baiting what they term would-be child molesters. online by posing as minors. Perverted Justice is the group responsible for baiting. Yeah, okay, that's true. Okay, so you're pointing out something that we already know. Although it is being reported that they use real minors. Who is reporting it? Who is what does he mean that they use real minors? They use photographs of people, of minors, or that used to be, and strangely enough, Lorne was very attracted to that. Although it is being reported that they use real minors to lure their targets, raising concerns that Perverted Justice is exploiting. What on earth is he fucking implying here? That they. What's he saying? That they send children over to these guys' addresses and let them have sex with them so that they can then catch them in. What the fuck is he talking about? I mean, I'm looking into it too much. It's like I said, he's writing stuff. He's not really. There's no. He should be prosecuted for writing this. It's that ludicrous. For wasting the court's time, he should be imprisoned for writing this. If there was real justice in the world, if he wasted courts and a judge and legal people, I don't understand the full how it works and who has to review it and all that, but these people have to fucking read this shite. He should have been he should have been jailed for writing this shit. Wasting people's time when there's real fucking crimes and exploitation that needs to be investigated. And he underlined exploiting. Perverted Justice, although it is being reported. Who's reporting it? You? Fucking what a tosser. What a fucking prick. Oh my god. I thought I got over all this, but this really pisses me off. Oh Jesus. Oh, let's read a bit more, shall we? More often than not, the group's evidence is poorly documented. Evidence is distorted or even missing, questioning the validity of it altogether, since none of the group's employees or volunteers are members of. Well, they don't have any employees, do they? Because they're all volunteers. So I think he's got that wrong. Right. Well, it's nonsense. None of this makes any sense. He's saying that they're a vigilante organisation and not full of professionals, so therefore they can't be trusted, is what he's saying. He's basically using anything that he can think of to discredit them. Anything at all. Right, okay, they're not police officers, so therefore their evidence. I mean, basically what he's saying is the evidence that they've got for him is manufactured and poorly documented, doctored, missing. So basically, he doesn't give a shit about anybody else's evidence. He's talking about his own. It just makes no fucking sense that this guy. What did he think someone was going to read this and go, "Oh my god, these guys are really corrupt." He really thinks he's smarter than everybody else, but consistently shows he's smarter than no one else. It's remarkable. That's what is. Look at, like, I've been making these videos for 4 years now. Fuck me, man. Need to get a life. And it still amazes me. But yeah, like I said, I without sounding like cocky, I think I have a pretty good take on the human condition, like I said. So, when I like to people watch and figure out why people behave like they do. And I think, I don't see any behaviour anywhere ever that I can't somehow explain in some way. I said, well, do you understand what I mean? Nothing really, even the most horrific things that people do, but this it still surprises me, and it's because the only way that you can try and understand something is through your own mind, because you only have access to that, and your perspective on the world shapes how you see it shapes your reality. So when you try and look at somebody else's perspective, you can only really do it through your lens. So it's very difficult to see things from other people's perspective, to have real empathy. It's a very important gift, because if you can do that, you won't be as angry if someone pisses you off, and you'll be more compassionate, and life will generally be easier. But yeah, this still baffles me. And when you're looking at this, you try and put yourself in that position, because it's the only real way that you can. You'd have to sit down and imagine what Lorne's life is like. Imagine how it would be to be him, and to have been through what he's been through, and understand how his mind works and what he's trying to do. He is stuck in this situation where him admitting that he is a attempted child molester, is far too difficult for him to deal with. It's far easier for him to say perverted justice are exploiting minors. He can't face up to that reality. It's not that he can't, he won't. He refuses to. Even the other ones that get caught on the show, they might plead not guilty, and spin a silly tale like JPW did. But deep down, or not even deep down, they know what they've done. But as soon as Long went to the police station, or should I say, as soon as he pled guilty and went to jail, that's the end of his responsibility. Then it's, right, okay. Because at that point, you'd have to do some massive self-inquiry. And not many people do that. There's not even it's very rare that you'll meet someone that is really, truly able to do a proper self-inquiry and actualise, shall we say. It's tough, but it's worth it. It's a tougher life. But, of course, the lengths that Lorne goes to avoid that is remarkable. It's almost admirable in a way that someone could be this persistent in stupidity. It's quite crazy. Additionally, they often simply do not have or are unable to obtain legal and appropriate warrants for viable arrests and convictions, meaning many of their targets are never convicted, even if they are guilty, proving that the 100,000 payday from NBC is their real number one priority, not the children they claim want to protect. Hang on a minute. Let me see. I don't really understand what he's getting at here. Additionally, they often simply do not have or are unable to obtain legal and appropriate warrants for viable arrests and convictions, meaning many of the targets are never convicted. Well, that could just mean that there's a lack of evidence. They're unable to obtain legal and appropriate warrants for viable arrests. Well, viable is subjective, because you're saying that they're viable. They may be not viable. If you don't have evidence, you can't just fucking go to a judge and say, listen, dude, I want a warrant because I believe Mr. Big there is a child molester. Give me a warrant. Yeah, no problem. It's not going to work like that, is it? You've got to present the evidence. So what he's saying is, because some people don't get arrested and some people don't get convicted. Hang on a minute. Meaning many of the targets are never convicted, even if they are guilty. Well, of course. Well, again, it's it's remarkable that he could write this. It's like if someone was going to write complete nonsense to try and make themselves look innocent, this is exactly how you would do it. It's the kind of lawsuit version of The Last Jedi. It couldn't be any worse. Fucking hell. Sorry, I had to get Star Wars reference in, didn't I? Proving that the 100,000 payday from NBC is their real number. How does that prove it's the real number one priority? Not the children they came to protect. That makes no sense whatsoever. Wow. But that's not all. Oh, this should be good. But that's not all. A watchdog group called corruptedjustice.com, which I've not looked into, estimates that Perverted Justice and their self-proclaimed band of... Hang on a minute. How did he find out about that in prison? Do they have access to the fucking internet when they're in there? Never mind. Have wrongfully targeted over 2,300 innocent people, and the number is growing. Evil vigilantes, self-proclaimed. Hang on a minute, they call themselves evil vigilantes because that's what self-proclaimed means. That Perverted Justice and their proclaimed band of evil... So, hang on a minute. He's talking two separate entities here. Perverted Justice, that's an entity within itself, and their self-proclaimed band of evil vigilantes. So, is he talking about another group that belongs to Perverted Justice or the people within it? Obviously, what he's saying is the people within it. Perverted Justice and their self-proclaimed band of... So they've self-proclaimed themselves evil vigilantes. It's evil vigilantes. It's brilliant. Like it's fascinating. It really is, because evil. This is fucking... Honestly, scholars are going to be fucking studying this for years. Evil vigilantes is... What a brilliant term that he's put up there. So what he's saying is vigilantes who have gone too far, which obviously happens. You know, vigilantes can be very dangerous. They believe they're on the right side of the law. They get power, like the Simpsons were... have you heard Simpsons and Star Wars references? What's that fucking episode called where Homer gets in charge of that vigilante group and is the cat burglar? And he goes, he's interviewed by Kent Brockman, and he goes, Mr. Simpson, it's reported that sack beatings are up a shocking 1,000%. I'd be lying if I said my group were committing crimes. Touché. Oh, fucking brilliant. Evil vigilantes, that's just remarkable. So, because the vigilantes, they're evil, have wrongfully targeted well over would be like double that. So why not just put that figure? Well over 2,300 innocent people, and the number is growing. Many of these people are wrongfully targeted simply because they share the same or similar name to someone which the group believes to be guilty of some wrongdoing. Well, what what the complete waffle with no basis for fact or evidence. They also target individuals which hold views which are in any way different from theirs, as well as anyone that dares to speak out against them. Oh, this is right. I can't keep doing this for much longer, but I'll just do the right. I'm gonna have to say something about this, aren't I? They also target individuals which hold views which are in any way different from theirs. So he's saying that they target people. They go after people to try and get them convicted of crimes they've not committed if they have a different opinion to them. So really, let's look at this now. If these writings is to be believed, Perverted Justice might possibly be the most corrupt, evil, power-mad group that have ever existed in the history of anything, ever. They might be some kind of evil dictatorship that... Well, not dictatorship, but some kind of evil group that run around and will basically stitch people up for just to get money, manufacture evidence, will silence people. Wow. Can you imagine if this was true? The typical target, even those that are completely innocent. Now, I wonder why that is highlighted in bold. I would suggest that he's referring to himself. So he is implying here, he's not saying it in as many words, I am, but this is what he's getting at. Even those that are completely, not even just innocent, completely innocent, which is emphasising that he did no wrongdoing whatsoever. Let's have a quick reminder, shall we?
Did you bring condoms?
Yes, I did.
Well, not that you needed that, but it's always nice to get some context, isn't it? Slandered viciously. Now, let's just another reminder that Lorne does not care about anybody else. This is about him. He's not interested in all those other people that have supposedly been accused of crimes and had evidence manufactured against them. He only cares about himself. So, even those, I'll translate this in Lorne language. I, who is completely innocent, have been slandered viciously on loads of their websites. My personal information, home address, phone number, and photos of my children and my email address have been displayed. Hang on a minute. Photos of the children. Who the fuck is he talking about? Literally, he's making it. It's about him, but the reason he's put their children is to make it seem as bad as it could possibly be. Did he think that they were just going to believe this? I think this is beyond the realms of the ego. He's got to be clinically insane. Oh my God. I don't think he is, but fuck me. It's remarkable. And I think... right, I can't take it. I've enjoyed this, but like... You know what I mean? It does get frustrating, but it is funny and remarkable. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I might continue reading this on another video. Let me know if you've enjoyed it, which I'm sure that you have, because it is quite interesting, isn't it, this stuff. Anyway, I'm waffling. I hope you're all doing well during these crazy times. It's the reason I make these videos. In England at the minute, we're in total lockdown. We can't fucking go anywhere. The bars are shut and shopping centres are shut. Coffee places are shut. Can't go on holiday. Jesus Christ. But I can laugh at Lorne and make videos. So, yeah. Anyway, take it easy, guys, and I will speak to you later.